Not your run-of-the-mill family hatchback, Citroen's second-generation C4 enters a dragon's den of top-selling, high-quality Focus-sized rivals and makes its mark by prioritising refinement and comfort over on-the-limit handling. Sleeker styling clothes greater versatility and much improved quality, plus there's a range of more efficient engines. A French Golf? Not really. Actually, it's a lot more interesting than that. Here's a statistic that surprised me. The average age of Focus Class family hatchback buyers is 57. Of course, there are plenty of younger people driving around in models of this kind, but they're mainly company drivers with no say in the matter. Those who actually go out and choose cars in what is often Britain's best-selling segment are mature people. Not the kind you would think who'd want to go out and corner on their door handles. Not that you'd know that from the way that motoring magazines and TV ads tell us that performance and handling are all that really matters in this sector. They're wrong, of course. Style, quality, space, equipment, low running costs and safety are the more sensible virtues that really matter to real-world family hatchback buyers. And here's a car designed to suit them perfectly. Citroen's second-generation C4. The French brand's advantage here is that thanks to its dynamic DS3 and DS4 model lines, mainstream models like this one don't have to be especially sporty anymore. So for example, there's no need for the three-door C4 that the first generation version served up, or so many of that model's futuristic flourishes that Citroen now thinks may have put older buyers off. Instead, we've a car that's relentlessly on message for potential buyers in its target market, sympathising with their eco-friendliness, easing their credit crunch running cost burdens, and providing a beautifully built package that's versatile enough to make many think that opting for something Mondeo-sized in the next class up would be willfully extravagant. It all sounds sensible on paper, but does it work in practice? Let's find out. On the road, most Citroens have always prioritised comfort over handling, and this one's no different. That said, the spec sheet does suggest that this one may well serve up a more dynamic road-going experience than its predecessor, without compromising the relaxed demeanour that has always marked this car out. It does, after all, feature a more sophisticated rear suspension setup, the claimed result of which, largely delivered, is reduced body roll and increased road feel, all of which is aided by better feedback from the hydraulic power steering. Citroen's advertising strapline for this car is positive power, and in the top 150 brake horsepower 2-litre HDI diesel model that I'm driving here, you get plenty of it. Rest to 60 8.4 seconds away on the way to a top speed of 130 miles an hour if you're quick with the slick shifting 6-speed manual gearbox. 5-speed manual transmissions are available further down the range. A more acquired taste is the EGS automated manual gearbox that comes with the 155 brake horsepower 1.6 litre THP petrol turbo model, a rather jerky pairing that, to be frank, doesn't really work at all. EGS is much more effective when it's paired with the extra torque that comes with diesel power. In fact, it's the only option if you want the green-fingered cost-saving and efficiency benefits of the eHDI 1.6 litre 110 brake horsepower diesel model. Fortunately, the other engines in the range come with straightforward manual gearbox choices. They include a 95 brake horsepower 1.4 litre VTI petrol. You also get a 1.6 litre VTI petrol with 120 brake horsepower, and then there are a couple of diesels, an entry-level 90 brake horsepower 1.6 litre HDI, and the 110 brake horsepower 1.6 litre HDI, this time in conventional form. Whichever C4 package you choose, you should find it to be a pretty refined one. Citroen says that it benchmarked the soundproofing of this car against larger, more expensive models, and it's a claim that seems quite plausible when you're behind the wheel. Great lengths have been gone to deaden noise intrusion and deliver class-leading levels of quiet. The French designers having even gone to the trouble of fitting an acoustic laminated windscreen that features a layer of sound-deadening film. The outside styling is certainly smart and neat. though it might disappoint those who expect a Citroen to look as if it's arrived from 20 years into the future. That's for the DS line to deliver. This car's look is evolutionary rather than revolutionary, with a long sideline that flows into a neat clamshell bonnet, highlighted by the familiar double chevron Citroen badge. The chrome highlights and the dramatic headlamps certainly mark the car out. It's a bigger model as well, 5 centimetres longer and a couple of centimetres higher and wider than its predecessor, but no heavier, which is quite an achievement when you consider all the presumably quite hefty safety equipment that has enabled this model to gain a 5-star Euro NCAP safety rating. One slight disappointment inside is the absence of the unusual touches that marked out the original C4, like the flying saucer instrument pod that sat on top of the dashboard, or the steering wheel fixed centre boss that housed most of the main switches and they remain static as you turn the wheel. That was a real talking point. Now, Citroen says that it's ditched this in the interests of saving around 3.5 kilograms in weight. I think it's more likely that original buyers just couldn't get used to it. But whatever the truth, this second generation C4 does deliver a very smart cabin indeed, with a soft touch one-piece dashboard complemented by classy chrome touches on the gear shift lever, around the air vents and around the steering wheel controls. It really does get close with the elegant instruments to the kind of upmarket feel the designers were aiming for to rival Volkswagen's Golf. It's certainly a cabin that's more interesting than that of its German rival. And it's bigger for passengers than many of its rivals. Get into the back via wider door apertures that provide easier access, and you'll find a slightly raised rear bench that offers just about enough room for 3 adults on short to medium length journeys, and comfortable room for 2 who'll enjoy good standards of head, leg and shoulder room. Those fortunate enough to be sitting behind the front seat passenger can enjoy even more foot space thanks to a front dashboard design that enables the front seat to be pushed forward further than usual. As for storage capacity, well, the boot is class leading. 408 litres if you make full use of the 28 litre underfloor storage compartment, and that's between 45 and 60 litres more than you get from a Focus, an Astra or a Golf. And before you start releasing extra space by pushing forward these split folding rear seats with their optional ski hatch for longer items. Now unfortunately they don't fold completely flat to the floor, but they do release up to 1,183 litres of fresh air. As for smaller items, well, owners will have access to plenty of cubbies and storage spaces. There are 4 in the centre console alone, which on EGS models can hold and refrigerate up to 4 0.5 litre drinks bottles. Larger bottles of up to 1.5 litres in size can be accommodated in the front door pockets. The C4 sits in much the same £16,000 to £22,000 price bracket as its predecessor, but claims to offer much more of a big car feel to suit downsizers. The pricing suggests either parity or a small advantage with main family hatchback rivals, and of course there are plenty of them. Obvious alternatives, apart from the inevitable Ford Focus, Vauxhall Astra and Volkswagen Golf models, include the Peugeot 308, which is essentially the same car underneath. Potential buyers might also be considering cars like the Renault Megane and the Toyota Auris. Whichever C4 variant you choose, 1.4 or 1.6 litre petrol, 1.6 or 2 litre diesel, you should find it to be well equipped. All models come with air conditioning, electric front windows, a hill holder clutch to stop you drifting backwards at uphill junctions, and cruise control, while most also get an MP3 player AUX socket and Bluetooth. But it's the detail touches that I really like. The neat removable torch that most models get in the boot. The really nice function on this particular model that's a rest option for the air conditioning that'll keep the car cool for up to 8 minutes on really hot days after you take the key out and leave it, say to dash into the newsagents to buy a paper, for example. You can also change the colour of the instrument backlighting to suit your mood. You can even change the nature of the sound alerts, much as you can change the ring preferences on your mobile phone. Plus, there are a whole range of either optional or plush model features you wouldn't normally expect to find on this class of car. Front seat massages for both front passengers, for example. Or this car's powerful Denon sound system, complete with 4 woofers and tweeters plus a subwoofer in the boot. You can even specify a in-car Wi-Fi system, a vast panoramic sunroof, and a really clever parking assistance gadget that will help guide you into the tightest spaces. This top model even features Citroen's e-Touch emergency and assistance system. Pressing the right-hand logo button will connect you through to a call centre that can offer you information and help out with breakdowns. The left-hand SOS button is for emergencies, and it'll activate automatically in the event of a crash, alerting the emergency services via GPS to your exact location. This Citroen also scores when it comes to more familiar safety items. With a 5-star Euro NCAP safety rating under its belt, the C4 scored a 97% rating in the safety assist test, at the time the highest scoring of any car of its type, and that's down to the sheer array of driving aids fitted as standard. You get 6 airbags, Isofix child seat fastenings in the rear seats, and of course ABS with electronic brake force distribution to maximise its effectiveness, plus ESP stability control. Thankfully, it's no longer acceptable in this class of car to limit that feature to plusher models. Other optional or plush model features include a blind spot monitoring system to stop you dangerously lane changing in front of another driver, cornering lights, and programmable speed limiters. Just how far Citroen has come in recent years in improving the efficiency of its engine range is exemplified by the clever EHDI diesel variants that make up about 1/3 of this model's sales. Here, the combination of an automated manual gearbox, frugal 1.6 litre HDI power, and low rolling resistance energy saver tyres all point to efficiency. The really important bit, though, is the clever stop-start system that cuts the engine when you're in heavy traffic or waiting at the lights, and combines with regenerative braking and a clever reversible alternator to turn that particular C4 into what the industry calls a micro-hybrid. In other words, it's electrically powered, albeit very slightly. The really important part, though, of course, are the results, and they see this car in some variants achieve as little as 99 grams per kilometre of CO2, or 109 grams per kilometre in the 110 brake horsepower variant that most will choose. That car also achieves 67.3 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle. Now, these are real-world improvements which should see urban motorists achieve returns about 15% better than they would if they'd bought a conventional 1.6 litre HDI 110 brake horsepower C4. You don't have to go all green-fingered, though, to enjoy low-cost C4 motoring. Even the standard variants do pretty well in efficiency terms. This 2 litre 150 brake horsepower HDI diesel that I'm driving here manages 56.5 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle and puts out 130 grams per kilometre of CO2. And for petrol people, the returns aren't too bad either. A 120 brake horsepower 1.6 litre VTI manages 44.8 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle and puts out 146 grams per kilometre of CO2. What else? Well, residual values, they're much better than they were with the old model, at around 30% after 3 years. They're much better than obvious rivals from Ford, Vauxhall and Toyota. And this car is eco-friendly too. It's 85% recyclable, with 15% of its polymer components made up of green, eco-friendly materials. Here's a car that goes its own way. Willfully unsporty by fashionable measurement, yet dynamically adept when it comes to ride, refinement and body control. It's practical too, and beautifully built. For all that, it's not a model that the car magazines will tell you to prioritise in your search for a Focus Class family hatchback of this kind. Even so, it's one that might suit you a lot better than they expect. Try it, and you'll see what I mean.